Welcome to the first ever Mango update video, and just quickly before I jump into all of that good stuff, do want to make you aware that what's going to be on the screen is not going to be worth watching. So minimize it, put me in the background, just listen is basically all I ask of you. Oh dear. So you've probably clicked because you want to know where I've been. I'm going to tell you nice and early up front so you know. At the beginning of June, I had a heart attack. Yes, a heart attack. It scared the living bejesus out of me, as I'm sure you could understand. Now, what I'm going to do is tell you when videos are going to be dropping, and then I'm going to talk through what happened, give you a little bit of an insight as to how I've been over the last, well, nearly 2 months now. So, new videos are going to drop 6 p.m. British time. So yeah, 6 p.m. GMT is when my videos drop, and if I have got this out beforehand, which I hope to, then it will be on the same day. And I have 3 videos for you. Those videos were recorded before my heart attack, so any eagle-eyed Stardew Valley fans will know or notice that the Stardew Valley is not fully up to date. That's something that I'm going to be doing next, and as such is I'm getting very excited about probably what's old content now. But I do want to release them because they are they're part of the progression of our world, our life on Stardew Valley. So there you go, the 2 main questions answered in 3 minutes or less. Awesome. Quick trigger warning on the regards to the rest of the video. I will be talking about health issues, hospital stays, and mental health. So if any of those things are stuff that would cause you any issues, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to reach for that remote, reach for that mouse, whatever you need to pause the video or stop the video, obviously, for you, and move on. But thank you ever so much for listening to what I've already said so far. I wish you the best, and yeah, there will be a video on the channel very shortly for you to enjoy. So I'm still classed as a young person medically. I'm in my 30s, early 30s, and that's classed as young. I know to some of you that seems horrifically old, but for a medical condition of a heart attack, it's incredibly young. And that kind of explains why I've actually had symptoms of heart failure for 3 years and have gone to the doctors multiple times, and nobody thought to check my heart. So this is something that I want to touch on. I desperately want to make people aware, because it's something that I'm aware of now, unfortunately. You know your body best, right? I'm not talking about sort of like things like where you go to the doctors and you're like, this thing, not so great. And then the doctor prescribes you something and it works and you go on with your life, right? You don't need to keep revisiting the doctor. But in my instance, 3 years ago, I went to the doctor with agonizing back pain. It was underneath my scapula, underneath the shoulder blade, and it impacted my life severely. Anyone who's been to my streams, communicates with me on a regular basis, knows that I have just pain has plagued my life for as long as I've been doing YouTube, actually longer. When this back pain started, I had just entered a really stressful point in my life, and the doctor said it was stress related, and it made sense. I was stressed. My life was stressful at the time. I was going through massive changes in like 4 different avenues, and yeah, of course I was stressed. Yeah, it kind of makes sense that it's reflected in my body. Several months later, I went back to the doctor because the pain's still there. It's still not gone. I was seeking drugs. I'm not going to lie to you. I couldn't function with that level of pain. Paracetamol sometimes helped it. Most of the time, if I use the pain scale, most of my life I spent at a 6, and then when I was having what I'd call a flare-up, it was between an 8 and 9. So you get used to it. Anyone who's lived with chronic pain or knows someone who does, it's debilitating. having every breath you make hurt, having the inability to find a comfortable position for more than 2 minutes without feeling that stab in whatever area. It's just hell. And I'm not gonna lie, I was looking for drugs to solve the problem. I went back to the doctor. In the UK, painkillers of the level that I required is just not prescribed easily. The doctors are heavily monitored on what type of painkillers they can prescribe, and for the length that you're allowed to have it. And typically in the UK is classed as more negative to go on sort of opiates, for example, than in other countries around the world. And in my opinion, rightfully so. But when you're in that much pain, it don't feel right. So anyway, I went back. I was told it's stress again. I was given exercises to do, which I did. They didn't help. I was told that, you know, maybe it's just something you're going to have to live with. That was not fun. Anyway, several months later, I went back and I ended up seeing a nurse this time. They advised me to seek alternative methods, so chiropractic, the thing where they stick needles in you, massage, sports massage therapy. Did all three. They seemed to help. They took my pain level down to a 2, a 3 sometimes. A flare-up would take me to a 4. So it was more livable. I didn't need to take, 8 paracetamol a day. I could some days not have paracetamol, even some weeks. And that lasted for about 6 months. And that takes me up to the beginning of COVID. Now, when we became aware of the COVID situation and how dangerous the whole thing is to people at risk, I have several family members who are definitely at risk because of previous health conditions. So with COVID being very clearly linked to having a high mortality rate with anybody who has certain health conditions in their life or in their family member's life, etc. I, having family members and myself having some of these diseases, just knew that considering I needed to help my family live their life, etc., I knew that I would have to isolate heavily. So I did. Fully masked up, isolated, all of that good stuff. I have people that rely on me and I had to keep them healthy. It's as simple as that. In addition to that, I then became scared of going to a doctor, of seeking medical assistance, because if I could get away with it, I'm not going to go back. So when my back pain, at about the beginning part of COVID, my back pain and actually my mental health deteriorated, I was like, well, I'll wait until COVID's done and then I will go to my GP, my local doctor, and actually get, well, I don't know, but at the very least assess mentally because of what was going on there, and hopefully get therapy, drugs, whatever's needed to reset my brain or allow me to live my life in a better situation. I was like, it's only going to be a few months. And of course, as you know, those few months ended up being, well, we're still there, aren't we? So I avoided the GP. I avoided the hospital. If I didn't need to go, I'm not going to go. And my back pain started to increase to, where I said it was, about an 8 every single day. Now, I had various things that helped. I stretched, I did deep breathing, I had codeine now, because that's been, I don't know how long it's been allowed to be prescribed over the pharmacy. So that's cocodamol and paracetamols combined. And they I used when I had my really bad days. And then obviously I was on paracetamol, or I tried to not take anything for the other days. I had a back massager that I used, and I'd have regular what I called flare-ups. On the day in question where I had my heart attack, it was a Saturday, and in the day I actually recorded the 3 episodes that are going to be coming out over the next 3 days. And I do that when I have a busy week ahead, so that videos are there, I can edit them. They're done, dusted, nice. And I took a break from playing Stardew Valley and recording, ate, and then I finished my dinner and my back just went, it just screamed at me. I mean, like, bang! There it is. And I couldn't sit still. I was pacing around my room. I was screaming in pain. I was hitting the deck. I was getting back up. I couldn't find a position that I was not in absolutely level 10 agony. I've never had pain like it. I hope to God nobody has pain like it. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy level pain. I didn't know what to do. It's not an emergency, is it? I'm not bleeding out. I can breathe. I'm just in pain. Well, hospital's not good. It's a Saturday. It's after 6 p.m. There's no GPs available. What do I do? Well, in the UK, we can call 111. And that's basically an emergency line when it's not an emergency. When you don't think you need the blue lights. You're breathing fine. You're not having a heart attack. Little did I know. Called that. I answered a bunch of questions. I was hoping they would send a prescription, because they can send a prescription over to the pharmacy in the hospital. I could go collect it, and then I could have some serious drugs, and then on Monday I could approach my GP and say, look, this just won't go away, I need it fixed. So the ambulance came out and basically said, come on, go in. I nearly decided not to go into the hospital. And they're like, look, we're not going to blue light you. You don't need blue lights, but, might as well go in. You'll get a prescription for morphine. I was like, morphine. That would be good. By this point, I was actually able to sit down. Had my back massager on. I was able to drink. I was able to talk in full sentences. I was no longer out of breath. I was not panicked anymore. The pain had gone back to sort of like an 8 level. And in comparison to the 10 level, I felt like it'd gone. I was like, well, I'm fine. I don't need the hospital. And at the time, 2 months ago, COVID had reduced. The curve had reduced. And they're like, look, they've even allowed visitors into the hospital now. We're at a good place in the NHS. Don't worry, come. So I went. After spending a great amount of time in the waiting area and whatnot, a doctor came running out and went, we have to admit you. I'm like, okay, fair enough. My anxiety went through the roof. And I got pulled into a room and I was told that I'd had a heart attack. It was clear in my blood work and that I was going into the cardiac unit, which I spent 7 days in. I can't fully remember. If I'm being brutally honest, there's a lot of things I have put to the back of my mind. I've put into the forget slot because it was stressful. I'm sure you can understand. I'm sure you can even imagine and empathise. So I'm not purposely lying to you if I have given you false information. And there's many things that I just don't want to recall. But yeah, I was there. And basically, that back pain is kind of typical for women suffering heart failure. So it turns out that after an echo, a CAT scan, an angiogram, out of the 3 coronary arteries that basically supply blood to your heart so that your blood has oxygen to function, all 3 of them were blocked, and one of them, the third one, obviously had the blockage at the time I had that agony. And basically, that's why I had a heart attack. Understandably so. They unblocked the one that caused the heart attack. I looked into it, and I've been living with these blockages in the coronary arteries for years, they've said. They looked at it. Apparently, I have managed to make use of other vessels around my heart. They had to have many meetings to work out how to deal with me because I just kind of, went by the British way of, live and make do type thing. And that is kind of how messed up my heart was. If you have had a condition in your life that's just ongoing, it's chronic, it's ever present, or it's, regularly returns, and the diagnosis you get from a medical professional is stress or your weight or your height or your sex, or something that's could change or is immutable, whatever, you haven't had tests, you haven't had a CAT scan, you haven't had an X-ray, you haven't had an MRI, you haven't had blood work. It's just a GP telling you this is what they think. Keep going back every 3 months. Go back and say, doctor, it's still with me. And if it, the reason like mine was stress, when I wasn't stressed anymore, I needed to go back to that doctor and bang on that door and say, I'm no longer stressed. Why is my back in pain? That is hopefully the lasting impact of this experience that I can pass on to you, is you know your body, you know how bad or good it is, you know what's normal, and if something is now becoming the new normal that wasn't before, you haven't had a satisfactory diagnosis for, keep going back. Now, it's most likely a genetic thing. My biological mother, when I was barely out of diapers, unfortunately left the world from a heart failure event. And so that's the only way. The doctors were like, okay, this kind of makes sense. They looked at me, they obviously discussed my lifestyle, everything. There is factors in my lifestyle. There's factors in everybody's lifestyle. But it doesn't explain what's happened. So I'm still going through tests. I will be for the rest of my life on tablets for my heart. Yeah, great fun. I do want to take a moment here to just say how grateful I am that I was born in the UK. I am a UK citizen, because the NHS, like the amount of tests that were done, like my blood got taken every day. I was hooked up to EKG for forever. I had stickers stuck on me. I was I was stuck to one of those defibrillator machines for the whole time I was in there. Whilst I hated the fact I wasn't allowed to use the facilities on my own in case I had a heart attack, I understood it. I had, nurses, doctors, all of this, and I didn't worry about the bill. Like, knowing that was covered from my national insurance that I've already paid, that was something that I just didn't have to worry about that. I could just worry on what earth the doctors were talking about in the corridor about me, and all of those types of things, which obviously was very highly charged in regards to my anxiety levels. But I cannot imagine not having that crutch of knowing that, yeah, okay, granted, I've been told I'm gonna have to take pills for the rest of my life, and okay, that's going to be 11 quid or whatever, however often I need to get a prescription. But there are programs out there, prepaid prescription, guys. If you are in the UK and you are worried about your prescription costs, there is something called prepaid prescription. You pay a one-off fee for the whole year, and then you can have as many prescriptions as you want. Look into it if you're struggling, because I live in that world where £11 a month is going to be a struggle. But we have so many great stuff that is just wow. Yeah, I can't really. If I waxed on about it, it would be an hour-long video, and let's not do that. So that's to do with my heart. In addition, I've been diagnosed as diabetic. I am now an insulin-dependent diabetic. Now, that may be a factor for my heart. You don't know if you have high sugar levels in your blood. It can damage your organs. So being an undiagnosed diabetic for however long I've been a diabetic for, bearing in mind, I've been checked, okay, it was 2 years ago or so, but I've been checked. It shouldn't have been that long. It should have been there, caught, but hey. So that may have caused some additional damage, but it's unlikely from what they've said. I do have a damaged heart, and they're hoping that most of it will get repaired by the changes that I've made to my lifestyle, the pills that I'm on. But hey, anyway, so diabetic. Terrifying. 100% terrifying. It does make dieting a little bit easier because I have to inject myself before I eat. And I'm one of those grazers, right? I like to have a little bit of something and then a little bit of something else and a little bit of something else, you know. I don't go to the fridge anymore because I have to inject myself. I have to calculate the carbs on sugar because, you know, they technically can be two different things, but they're pretty much the same thing once they're fully digested in your system. And I have to work out how much insulin to inject myself with. And the injection, they're cool. It's a pen, you screw on the little needle, you stab yourself, you press the end of it, it goes in, boom. I don't need to draw with a syringe type thing, I just twist the end on the pen. It's so simple. Like, you know, me as kind of idiotic and would never think I could inject myself. I do it 4 times a day. So I have a long-term insulin as well. And it's remarkable experience. And I also have to prick my fingers, and my fingers are constantly in pain, and because I'm new to being diabetic, and every diabetic is different. There is so much food I miss. But if you're diabetic, you might be fine with potatoes, for example. Potatoes, whilst you're not going to have loads of it, because loads of carbs is bad for a diabetic, but you can have some with your meal. You can enjoy a little bit of mashed potato. I, on the other hand, may not be able to, without seriously pumping myself full of insulin to combat that sugar release. So yeah, it's an experience. I'm having to, you know, test every different type of carb, work out how I react to it, which means I have to take like my blood sugar levels like 6 times, and I can't just accept the first time. I have to keep doing it. It's complicated, but I've had some family members who were type 1 diabetics, and I remember in my youth, like when I was a real young kid, watching them have to deal with, you know, grabbing a bottle, turning it upside down, the syringe, you got the whole syringe that you have to get rid of, and, you know, it's just come light years ahead in regards to how to manage it, and that's so cool. From a technological point of view, it's so interesting. And I could go on about it for hours, and I'm not going to, as much as I wish I could. So yeah, heart attack, heart disease, complicated and weird heart, and I'm now diabetic. It's been a weird couple of months, not gonna lie. To add to it, my depression and anxiety that I did allude to earlier, that I've had depression and anxiety most of my life. I've had diagnosed depression. I've been on various drugs throughout my life. It has kicked up a notch upon one of my family members dying 2.5 years ago, and I just haven't been the same since. Grief can affect people in weird ways, and it seemed to have affected me in an incredibly terrifying way. So that's something that I will be looking and working towards once I have my COVID vaccine. But once I'm fully covered, then I will feel more confident about, still obviously masking up, but feel more confident about actually getting additional help for my depression and anxiety, which this whole experience has proved to me I don't want to lose my life, because that was one of the biggest fears whilst I was in the hospital. But I still have those days where, not that I want to kill myself, but my brain goes, wouldn't it be nice if it just ended? That obviously isn't good. I logic myself and walk away from it, but having that low point is horrific. As I'm sure you can imagine or experience yourself. And I will just be straight up and honest with you guys, I don't know how that's going to go. So that leads me quite nicely into one of the last points I really want to talk about, which is to apologise to anyone who's reached out to me and I may not have got back to you quickly or responded in a way you were expecting. One of the components of whatever's going on with me mentally right now means that I don't want to lie to people. Although I've always never wanted to lie to people, but I really hate the concept of lying to someone. So anybody asks me how I am and I'm having a bad day, I can't answer that because I can't give bad news. I can't make something about me. Like you're being nice, you're saying hello, and my brain's going, you can't turn this around and expect support and all of this. And whilst I know that it's absolutely not a trosh, because I support my friends no matter what, and I know you wouldn't mind supporting me and all of that, I still can't move forward. I can't. It's just whatever's going on in my head. As I said, I think I need some therapy here. So yeah, I apologize. However, what I will say is I am beyond grateful to you guys in the Discord. Obviously, you guys were made aware because obviously I was streaming and... oh yeah, I didn't even mention that. I was streaming whilst I had my heart attack. Like, I just started the stream when my heart attack kicked off. Anyway. My brain cannot keep everything in line and in order, and I apologise. I'm beyond grateful for you guys. For the love. The outpouring of love is... It almost breaks my heart. I don't feel like I deserve it. And I'm beyond grateful to have it. And thank you for being such amazing people. If you are still a Patreon or a Twitch subscriber, which I've seen there are some people, I want to say thank you so very much. I'm beyond grateful for having that patience. So, we're at the ongoing videos part of my little bullet points here in front of me, and I've already mentioned that I've got 3 videos ready to go. Boom, they're going to drop in the next 3 days. I'm going to continue the Stardew Valley series, not a problem. I want to include or do a new series that will be on opposite days to the Stardew Valley. So do let me know of any games that you would like to see me cover. Just drop them in the comments, and hopefully with this lack of pain going forward, I will be able to actually do what I've wanted to do in regards to creating content for you guys much easier. I am now at a point where I'm able to sit at my desk for a longer period of time. In regards to when streaming is going to happen, that unfortunately will need to wait until I can actually sit and talk for 4 hours without getting pins and needles in my extremities, which I still suffer from at the moment, as a side effect of the angiograms, because they went a bit wrong, and the fact that I don't get out of breath, because one of the side effects of having a heart attack is you do find yourself getting out of breath a lot more. So yeah, I don't want to be like weirdly breathing on you on my streams. Anything else that I can think of other than that? I've missed you guys. I've missed talking to you. It helps me so much, and I genuinely cannot wait to update my Stardew Valley and get back into doing some Stardew Valley content. I cannot wait to get back to streaming. You know, it's so much fun to be able to talk to you guys without real filters. You know, it's an 18+ stream. We can talk about whatever comes across our minds at that time, and we can have discussions ranging from anything, and I really like that component. But yeah, I've missed you guys. Hopefully you've missed me as well. You're still here, you're still listening to my rambling. Thank you so very much for just having the patience and being interested enough to listen to my cathartic rant, vent, explanations. I don't know, whatever. But it's very cathartic for me. I will be getting back on top of all of my comments, all of my messages, starting to move myself forward. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.